welcome to Aurora's Apothecary. I am Melissa Aurora Adlebush.
And I am Kevin Adlebush.
Husband and wife.
10 years now.
We started the business about 15 years ago. I moved out to this tiny little town and I found this really cool old stone general store. And I thought it would make a really cute herb shop. So I started by putting my gardens in and growing all of our herbs and then starting to make products and then starting to fill my little store. Here where we are out at the farm, where we're standing right now, this used to be a building. It was a beautiful historical building, but it was very dilapidated and the city finally came in and took it down. And when they were tearing down the building, they put in this great layer of sand, which I thought, ooh, herbs love sand, Mediterranean herbs, this will be great. And then they put down a big foot layer of clay. And after that, I just dropped. I'm like, oh no, we're gonna have to like dig through all that clay. And then they seeded it with grass. My number one enemy, grass. So everything that you see here at the farm, we've had to dig up all of that or completely cloth it over and start over and bring in all the soil.
Try to fix the soil that was there, and we use a lot of compost, wood chips, different things to build the nutrients back into that clay. And it's been working really good, as you can see.
Yeah, our herb garden is a two-part garden. In the front here, I have my show gardens, and this is for touring. I'm gonna eventually have little plaques by each plant so you could self-tour even. You would know exactly what that plant is, what it does, what part of it we harvest and use to make the medicines. In the back we have kind of our crop gardens. So anything that we're growing in bulk, we have like one big bed of this herb and one big bed of that herb, and that's a lot of what we put into all of our remedies and our products.
We try to do from seed to finished product and have our hands in all the aspects of it. So some stuff that we can't get, we do get locally from other herbalists that grow, and we order certain stuff that just doesn't grow here in Wisconsin.
I try though, I try to grow everything possible. Sometimes it's a failure.
Especially the stuff they say that you shouldn't grow here, we really try those. So.
Yeah, and we do forage a lot too. So it helps that we kind of travel to 3 different counties even. So we have a lot of foraging available to us. Winter, I'd like to say, is our slow time, just because there's not a garden to do. So we're still packaging and making things, but spring is when things start kicking into gear. So we start with growing our plants and then putting them in the garden, getting everything where it needs to be, and then all summer long is crazy season in the garden. Yep. So we're in harvest time right now, so we've been harvesting actually since June. We started harvesting, but now is where all the big stuff is coming in, and we're gonna start filling our drying shed, which is full right now. So we're here in our drying shed. This is where we bring all of our plants to dry. It gets up to 113 degrees in parts of the shed. And today we're doing some garbling. We harvested a lot of mugwort. It's finally dry enough that we can strip it off of its stems and collect the leaves. I have a couple gals that work in the lab for me. I have a lab manager, and she's been great. She's took over all of my duties, so that gives me some extra free time. I have gone through 2 different gardeners this year.
Turns out it's hard work. Who knew, huh?
Yeah, I think people get excited, they want to come work out in the garden, and if they've never gardened really before, it is very hard work. So our lab girls do work in the garden too. I had an accident this spring and I had a dislocated shoulder, so that put me off gardening for like 2 months. But as soon as I was able to, I was out here pulling weeds. We have about 15 employees that work for us between the gardens, the lab, and the 4 stores that we have. I started with herbs at a very young age. At age 14, I was kind of being hit with them on a couple different fronts. And people ask me all the time how I got into herbs. And depending on who I'm talking to, my answer may change. When I was younger, I can't swallow pills. I can't to this day. So I thought I should probably have to make my own medicine. So I started researching some herbs at that point, just using like peppermint for headaches, making a tea, making a compress. And when I was young, my grandpa used to take me through the forests and the fields, and he would show me what things were and tell me what they were good for. But I think at a young age, I couldn't grasp all of that. So what I really held on to was what the plants were. I figured if I can identify every plant that's out in the woods, I can always look into what it's good for later. And so to this day, I was the state champion identification person for Wisconsin. So I do teach identification courses. But also when I was younger, I started looking into witchcraft and all the spiritual aspects. And every book that I read, they were telling me, oh, you need this plant and you need this plant and this plant. And I thought, okay, I better learn some stuff about plants because I'm going to need them. So I started studying when I was really 14 is when I really started getting into it seriously. And I lived in a little town at that time. There was no computers at that time, so books were my main focus on how I could learn about herbs. And then when I moved to the big city of Green Bay, I got into an herb club. It was me as a 19-year-old and a bunch of like 60-year-old ladies. But they were the best set of knowledge that I could have asked for. So it was great to be around them all the time. And I became the president of that herb club. And today I'm the president of the Fox Valley Herb Club.
And when I met you, she told me she healed people with plants, and I never heard of such a thing. And I told her, it's a good thing you're pretty, because you sound awfully crazy to me. And then she proved me wrong like 1,000 times over. And I felt that's where my passion came from, was I didn't know anything about herbs, and I felt like there had to be other people that don't know anything about all these plants. So I love to turn people on to it, that there are some alternatives for the simple problems that we have, that there's so much knowledge that we can learn from these plants. And as soon as I feel like I know something about a plant, she's like, hang on, here's 20 more things you can learn about it. So I enjoy the constantly gaining the knowledge. In the winter, when we're down with the garden, we spend a lot of time in education. So we go to our Appleton store and we offer a lot of classes to try to get people involved into herbal. It goes back to my philosophy, the more you know about it, the more you're going to use it in your life. So we utilize that downtime to try to get more people involved in it with us. So.